here.
And Larson.
Welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, DIJAK is out of the WWE. He wrote a whole letter. We're going to talk about that and where he could end up and when. Also, we've got your AEW Dynamite review. Last Dynamite before Forbidden Door coming up this weekend. Of course, we're going to be doing our live watch along of that, so be sure to hang out with us on both this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Stephen Larson, and over at twitch.tv/Stephen Larson. So whatever your preferred platform of choice is, be sure that you have your subscription notifications, whatever they are, notify bells, all turned on so you know when we are going live.
Yes.
And also today, we're going to talk about Shane O'Mac. As you guys on the YouTube anyways can see, is he going to be new AEW champion?
Oh, he's on the banner, huh?
He made the banner.
Oh, my goodness.
I bet all the people right now watching live are like, oh, my God, I didn't notice. Because they expect the same thing every day.
Yes.
The best in the world heading to AEW. Maybe.
Slow your roll there, Steve. So
Maybe.
We talked about it last week. Conrad Thompson mentioned on an episode of Grillin' JR that he had heard that Shane had reached out to talent in AEW about the possibility of joining the company. In a recent interview with Sports Illustrated, Tony Khan was asked about those conversations. He left the door open for Shane McMahon to join his company. This is what he had to say. Quote, "I heard the rumor he might be interested. I've never met Shane, but we have a lot of mutual friends. I have a lot of respect for him as an executive and a professional wrestler. Shane is always welcome in AEW."
Yes. I am so sad I did not see this in our predictions at the beginning of the year. Shane O'Mac heading to AEW makes all the sense in the world. He's the best in the world. And that is, if I'm not mistaken, where the best wrestle, Larson. Yeah. Shane O'Mac, baby.
No, thank you. Pass.
Sweating. Yeah, congested.
Pass. What, dude's in his 50s, right? He's 50 or something like that?
At least. Yeah, he's probably around
Coming off
60.
a devastating quad tear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
53, thank you, Parawinning. Coming off a quad tear at WrestleMania 39.
Mm-hmm.
As we saw, he got fired by the company because he's trying to change the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, make it
to
better.
his benefit.
Try to make it better. Yeah, absolutely.
For Shane.
More Shane O'Mac.
I don't see what he really brings other than a short. It's the same problem with AEW. Hey, let's do a short-term pop of the ratings. Let's bring in Shane O'Mac. And then it goes nowhere. And he's sucking TV time away from people who's been with the company who need the TV time, unlike him, and to advance their stories and characters. I have zero interest in Shane McMahon and AEW. No,
Larson,
thank you.
I'm devastated because we're supposed to be. Don't you remember? We're the positive podcast. Everything we say is supposed to be good. Listen, man, I could see it. I could see it right now. Him on the mic against Big Bill, saying, "Big Bill, you're stupid." You know, remember when he did the Braun Strowman?
Yeah, Braun.
Yeah, bring back the Mean Street Posse. Dude, the possibilities are endless with Shane McMahon. I think a new era for AEW is the Shane McMahon era. We've got the Paul Levesque era, Shane McMahon era. That's where this should go, Larson.
I will say this.
Okay.
By and large, one thing AEW consistently has done pretty well is book legends, if you will.
Okay.
For the most part.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, they did a great job with Sting's creative while he was there.
Yeah. Tony Khan has even called that the highlight of AEW's existence is how they retired Sting. I thought Jake Roberts, while he was on TV, was good. Yeah. Edge, I think, has been pretty good.
Yeah, Edge and Christian, for that matter.
Christian's been great.
Have been booked pretty well. Arn had some entertaining bits.
Oh, Arn had some top 5 AEW moments.
Of course, the number one blocking the black mass with his forearm. Yes.
Talking about Glocks.
Oh, come
this dude, look, this guy looks like he should be talking about Glicks, not Glocks, Larson. But
you got that right. I could probably think of several more instances where they bring somebody in who's a veteran or a legend in the wrestling business and found a way to work them into the tapestry that is AEW in a way that's consistent with what that person at the time can offer to the company. If that makes sense. Like Christian and Edge, they're in a position where they can still be full-time wrestlers, and they're booked as such. Sting, he could wrestle from time to time, but he still has presence in Norris. He went on TV on a regular basis, and he was booked as such. And I think Tony Khan has been generally good about using people from, previous eras of wrestling and implementing them into his programming fairly well for the most part.
I'll be
there. I was positive. How about that?
I'll play it straight now, right? Because obviously it's a big old tongue in cheek when I was playing up, talking up the best in the world stuff. Obviously, a dude ain't gonna wrestle. You don't have him do that. I doubt that he could at this point, because I know there was I think his son gave an interview not that long ago.
Oh yeah, because he's going to Indiana for football or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
And he said that he's still getting over the quad tears. Like it's been a long process for Shane.
A year plus, yeah.
So he ain't bringing it. If he came in, he wouldn't come in to wrestle. Obviously, a couple people have noted this. I've seen this on social media. The way right now they are presenting the new Elite, the Young Bucks and Okada. I will give Shane this much. I thought when Shane is being kind of an asshole in character, I think he's funny. I think he's entertaining. When he was calling Miz's dad baked potato
face, yeah.
Baked potato face to this day still makes me laugh. The Braun is stupid stuff. I'm sorry, I know. Back then, you had to find what you could find in WWE to be entertained by, and I legitimately was entertained by that. The way they're presenting the new Elite right now, I think would fit in with that version of Shane McMahon. I could find that being entertaining. The way Okada comes out and he says what he says, I could see that being entertaining. I mean, is it something that would cause immense blowback from AEW sickos, if that's the name of the fan base now? Yeah, they're going to hate that shit. Oh my God, they're going to hate that shit. I don't know that it would do much for the company beyond what you said. A short-term ratings bump for people to tune in and say, what the hell is going on right now?
Mm-hmm.
Dang MQ has a question. Could Shane help out backstage?
You don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want that. No, he'd be world champion in a couple weeks if he was like, oh, I'm going to start helping out in the creative aspect. No, you don't want that.
Right. No, he couldn't do that. Could he bring an entertaining presence to the segments that he's in? I think there's the potential for that. If I'm Tony Khan, I don't do this.
No.
If I'm Tony Khan, there's no way that I do this.
No.
But Tony Khan is me and him are not on the same page when it comes to booking and creative philosophies. Mm-mm. So it's his thing. He's going to do what he's going to do. But yeah, so that's my actual thoughts on it. But I hope these rumors ramp up. And my eyes will be glued, I tell you, to the television.
You'll be invested in AEW programming.
Well, I don't know about invested, but
I'm just using your sentiments that you just spoke about. I think it's pretty clear. You'd be wildly invested in AEW programming if Shane McMahon showed up. You just said as much.
I guess so.
Speaking of someone where we'd be wildly invested in showing up in AEW or just about anywhere, talking about DIJAK.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So we've been hearing that he was his contract was expiring soon, and DIJAK took to Twitter today to announce that he is wrapping up with WWE and he'll be a free agent after his contract expires tomorrow. That's June 28th. He also explained what led to his impending free agency is what he wrote on Twitter. Quote, here's the truth. WWE never negotiated with me. We attempted to negotiate, and they stonewalled us. They never made a single offer. Then they informed me they would not renew my contract at the 11th hour. 2 months ago, I was one of the best matches in NXT history in a top match of WrestleMania weekend. On that day, a top executive of WWE told me I was crushing it. I was slated to feud for the NXT title, but I got called up to Raw instead. I consistently outperformed everyone's expectations, especially throughout 2023 and early 2024. I never complained about anything or was difficult to work with. I tirelessly pitched ideas to anyone who would listen, as recently as the day before I was notified. I never once missed a booking, and I was injured one time in 7 years for 3 months. I'm thankful, disappointed, but also excited. This has lit a fire under me to relentlessly prove myself to the world. All I ever wanted was a fair shot, and now an opportunity to go out and take it. That's enough talk. Now it's time to do or die, Jack.
This is, on one hand, pretty surprising.
Yeah.
They
there
are.
should be a ready-made role for him on Raw with the character he had.
I see. That's where I don't know. Let me get your thoughts on that. What would that be? What would that be?
Oh, like you have, I mean, his character in NXT, I know he kind of drifted away from it to incorporate more of actual DIJAK, but the idea that he was an 80s movie vigilante.
Right.
And so I know it's not a perfect one-to-one fit, but if Pierce called him up and it's like, hey, I need you to handle some problems for me. And he was Pierce's enforcer on Raw. And he's like, all right, your first job here, keep Braun Breaker from being a pain in my ass.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately he's put into something that's relatively high profile and pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's the 80s vigilante character or not, or something kind of in that same vein, it seemed like a situation that would be perfect for DIJAK to introduce him on TV.
You and I have both talked about. I'll preface it with the reason why this is sad and confusing. It's because he's like just a really good wrestler.
He is.
He's got the charisma and the personality.
Yep.
And for them not to be able to find something for him, I don't think the 80s vigilante would have worked with what they're
not
doing
as originally
on Raw.
not as he originally debuted in NXT. No, they had an obvious ceiling, but what he was doing towards the end of his NXT run was kind of inspired by it, but it wasn't that. You know, it was more DIJAK in the packaging of an 80s vigilante. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's surprising to me that they would not be able to find something for him.
Yeah.
Given his immense talent, his personality, and his charisma, and the fact that he's been there for so long, he knows the system. He did just have a killer match, as he said in the letter that he wrote on Twitter.
Yeah, the match was really good.
Yeah, it's surprising to me. I think that, you know, you got to wonder, and this isn't meant to shade. It really isn't. If AEW was killing it right now with their creative, if they were able to find really good stuff for most of their talent, I don't know that WWE would have let him go. But this might be a situation where they have a certain number of slots available. They're using a lot of people right now. And as we saw from, like, there was a stream with Dakota Kai where she was kind of, saying, man, I'd love an opportunity at a premium live event. That's like rarefied air because there's 5 matches on those cards.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's sort of like, man, we're kind of maxed out and they're not releasing people, but they're also not, when they look at the landscape. And on top of that, NXT is a lot of people that eventually are going to need to go somewhere. Athletes are lasting longer in WWE. And so maybe it was just sort of, I hate to use this term, but like a bandwidth thing. Like, we have a lot of people right now. Something's got to give. But yeah, the idea of him feuding with, that entire Intercontinental mid-card scene, the Sheamus match, the revisiting the Ilya stuff, Gunther, that kind of stuff. It is an absolute shame that they couldn't figure out something for him. And yeah, he is a unique personality.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure out, okay, well, from their standpoint, why wouldn't they have retained him?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can really think of.
Yeah, it is confusing. And I thought the same thing that, obviously at times it seems like main roster doesn't necessarily communicate with NXT in regards to call-ups. And if he hadn't gotten called up, would it be a situation where he could have remained in NXT? Don't know, because you're right. There's a lot of people, NXT or WWE is constantly signing, new classes for NXT. And the way they've been kind of pushing people through developmental these days is they, for the most part, they try to get them on TV as soon as they think they might be ready.
Yeah, right.
Whether it's on Level Up, whether it's on NXT TV, it seems like every couple months, sometimes less than that, we got 2-3 new people showing up on NXT TV. And DIJAK did a good job of establishing his character, especially over the last year on NXT. And it's interesting that he got drafted to Raw with seemingly not a plan in place of how to utilize him.
Yeah, I know. That was odd.
And, it's something Triple H said years ago, so who knows how much this still holds true, that he didn't want anybody called up unless there was 6 months of creative in place for him, or a plan for 6 months of creative in place for him.
We have also seen, though, I don't believe that's... I think that's out the window at this point.
No, I think so too, because if it wasn't, then I think in a lot of cases we'd see call-ups doing more things as opposed to sometimes not doing anything.
Well, it's interesting. I'm genuinely curious as to what, because I do think that there is a philosophy in place. I also think that it's kind of obvious that things are just fluid. I think that when you look at, I was watching a thing and they're talking about Damian Priest, right? And you and I both noticed a couple months ago, maybe before WrestleMania, that during the R-Truth Judgment Day stuff, it seemed like week to week, they were sort of wishy-washy on what's the direction for Damian Priest. Sometimes he acted like a good guy. Sometimes he acted like a bad guy. And it didn't seem like the kind of thing where, he's going to be a tweener. He's going to be like this anti-hero or something like that. It legitimately seemed like he was maybe the last domino in like a line of dominoes where they were figuring that out. Like the Gunther, Drew, Punk, Rollins line, because obviously he's Mr. Money in the Bank. So we got to figure out how he's going to play into all this. But we got to figure out everybody else first. Triple H had said in the trailer for that documentary that's coming out in a couple days or next week that the Mania matches were by and large set back in October. So it is clear that he has got a plan, but it's also clear that Triple H is not afraid to just sort of mix things up and change things up if things happen, if new stories are broken. And he wants to, implement those stories. It seems kind of obvious that he is okay changing things if it makes sense to change them. And I wonder if it's a situation where it's like, okay, well, we've got an idea that we think DIJAK is going to be used on Raw because there's that scene there, but who knows what might have changed between then and now that just left DIJAK on the outside looking in. I mean, that's all we can gather from him. All we have right now is DIJAK's side of things with this letter that he wrote. He's supposed to be on a stream with Mansoor and Mace tonight, and maybe he'll illuminate some more stuff there. But yeah, I don't know. The guy is immensely talented, but evidently at this point, WWE doesn't have a place for him. I honest to God hope that he shows up. I think, he is one of the best wrestlers out there, and AEW is where the best wrestle. And I think that it'd be a killer spot for him. I think that DIJAK in AEW is one of those things where whatever segment he's in, I would pay attention.
Imagine a match between DIJAK and Lance Archer. That'd be tons of fun.
It'd be a lot of fun.
There's a lot of people.
I love that that's the first place you went, Lance Archer. I was not expecting.
Well, it's two tall, athletic dudes.
Thought it'd be more of like a wrestle guy.
Lance Archer's fun. I know he's not.
I love Lance Archer. Don't get me wrong.
He's not like, I know he's not like a technical wrestler, but he's 6'9" or whatever. He's a destroyer, and he's wildly fun to watch when he destroys people.
I was thinking like DIJAK versus Samoa Joe.
Oh, that'd be great too.
Promos would be great.
Yeah,
I'm not criticizing. I'm interested.
I just want to see DIJAK and Lance Archer just have like a no holds barred match and just tear shit up. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see.
Who's gonna get eliminated?
Yeah.
Can you imagine DIJAK on Eliminate?
That'd be wild.
Bring that show back.
Heck yeah.
Can we just retire from this and bring back Eliminate?
I mean, the original iteration didn't fare too well.
Oh,
who knows?
That's because we didn't put our spin on it.
We tried to, I don't know.
You merged naked and afraid.
All wrestlers.
You merged naked and afraid with Eliminate.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. Who could be the best hunter-gatherer? Naked Steve shows up. I got some berries.
You say, hey, anybody know where the hot dog tree is?
Where's the glizzy tree?
I know.
I found a can of peanut butter in the woods. What? Where'd you get that from? It's the one thing I
peanut
brought.
Butter doesn't come in cans. You get a can of peanut butter for? You just.
Anybody wants some peaches?
Anybody wants some peaches? There you go.
Oh man! Hey, somebody's gonna steal that idea. Cause you meant Eliminate, but it's Naked and Afraid. Holy shit!
So it's a dating show out in the wilderness with no clothes on.
Yes! Oh my god! Wow, that is really good. If I had any motivation left to get out of this chair, I'd be calling up some producers on that one, man. Oh wow, what a great conversation that was.
Anyway, Steve, you want to pay some bills?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. Steve, we're now more than halfway through 2024.
Yeah,
it's almost July, and I got a question for you.
Okay.
Where has the year gone?
Oh, yeah.
Where has it gone?
Zoomed by.
Yeah, but with life moving so fast, it's really important to take the time to celebrate your wins and make the adjustments you need going forward. And that's something I definitely wasn't doing when I was dealing with severe anxiety in my mid-20s. At the time, I couldn't figure out what I was doing right, if I was doing anything right, and what I needed to do to move forward. That is, till I started going to therapy. And therapy allowed me to take a moment and learn the skills I needed to better cope with my anxiety and put me on a path to hopefully becoming a better Larson.
That's right. And therapy can help you track your progress and set goals for the rest of 2024 and beyond. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. BetterHelp is completely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. All you got to do to get started is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and then you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
So take a moment. Visit betterhelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. All right, let's talk Dynamite. Steve, did you like Dynamite? What did you think of it?
Why would you do that to me? Why would you do that? You bastard you are. Did I like Dynamite? Boy, that's a loaded question. Yeah, sure, I liked it. They're on the road to Forbidden Door. Forbidden Door actually looks like a pretty decent card, man.
Well, isn't that AEW's kind of MO in general is the pay-per-views generally deliver.
Yeah.
But
sometimes you look at a card and you're like, I don't know about this one. Okay, so a lot of the static that I've noticed about Forbidden Door is, well, they got the best New Japan guys, so what left is there? I think Mox versus Naito, I think that's looking like a big-time match right there.
Danielson versus Shingo?
Oh, my God.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's a killer match right there. I like the Swerve Ospreay. I think the Swerve Ospreay stuff is really, really good. The go-home math on it looks a bit sus if Swerve's going to retain. Where do you stand on that
left,
now?
Steve? There is a collision. I know what happened. They shot it last night, so I don't know what
happened. So you're saying that there's stuff that happens there?
I didn't look at the spoilers for Collision.
Okay, sorry.
I'm just saying there could be stuff that happens on Collision. I don't know. The whole story is Ospreay hesitant to use the Tiger Driver 91.
Right.
In the tag match, he was unable to use it in the main event last night. Whereas Swerve doesn't hesitate.
Yeah.
As we saw at the end when Ospreay snatched the world title from him. Swerve kicked him in the back of the leg and hit him with a house call. Zero hesitation.
He's like, give me this. What are you doing with this thing? I told you. Oh, here we go. Oh, they're doing a weigh-in segment. Oh, okay, yeah. No spoilers on that one, but if you want the real go-home math, then check out Collision on Saturday.
There we
There's
go.
an ad for you, Tony.
There we go. Even without the go-home, given the story they're telling, it would make sense, not to say this is what they're going to do, it would make sense for that to play out in the main event as well.
Sure.
Swerve said several times to Ospreay, you can't handle the weight of carrying both those championships on your shoulder. You can't handle the sacrifices that need to be made to be world champion in AEW. We need to see Ospreay go through that process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Before he wins the title. Otherwise, it's a fast track just to get Ospreay the world title, and it's going to feel like a huge letdown. From a storytelling perspective, it's like the most interesting part of the story, potentially, you're just not going to tell.
It is the kind of thing where they could tell that whole story in the ring, and just by the end of Forbidden Door, it's Ospreay with the world title. We were talking about this in the pre-show on Twitch. Man, you can build this Tiger Driver story to the point where the crowd is like begging Ospreay to use the damn thing. Just do it. Just give us what we want. And that can last for a while. And losing to Swerve could entrench him even more into, I need to find a way to win the big one without this thing. And then eventually, if you do a thing where you turn Swerve bad again, so that it's a proper good guy versus bad guy thing, and Ospreay down the line, once he does hit it, then you're using a wrestling move to pop this crowd huge, and Swerve can be the guy being like, if you don't use this on me now, you're never going to win this. And so he does. And then you can tell a story about how conflicted he is about using it, because when he does it to Swerve, he wins the title. Swerve can just be laying there out. You do make a big deal about medical coming in, and Swerve then in the next Dynamite can say, this guy had to almost paralyze me in order to get this title. That's how much it means. And there's a lot you can do with that.
That's also what it took to beat him. Yeah.
And that's what it took.
Yeah.
So you can tell that story, but man, it's got to start with an L.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think so too. We had some Owen tournament action. We had some matches for that. Or was it just one match? I guess it was just one match. Jay White versus Rey Fenix, as expected. Jay White advances. The Young Bucks announced that they will be choosing the wild card, though, for the Owen tournament. It's got to be Hangman, right?
You would think it's Hangman. So, like, the last we saw him in storyline, he had lost in that triple threat, and I think the Young Bucks like fired him,
or he was suspended. Suspended from the Elite.
Yeah, they suspended him. I think the way we left his character, it would be so much fun for him to be interacting with, it's all a bunch of insecure assholes, but except Okada. But like him interacting with Scapegoat could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Him interacting with the Young Bucks, that sort of crazed, Hangman, just letting the insecurities completely rip him apart.
He would literally be the wild card of the new Elite.
That would be kind of awesome.
It would be kind of cool. It would be pretty cool.
Kind of great. Do some vignettes with him and Scapegoat and the Scapegoat mobile. That's the shit that I would watch.
Yeah. So if it is Hangman, you got to think it's going to be Hangman and Danielson in the finals.
Yeah. Where's the bracket again?
Because Danielson's wrestling Shingo. I think Shingo's on the left side. The winner of that faces Pac in the semis.
Let's say Hangman. Yeah, Hangman versus Danielson in the finals. Where do the finals take place? Because it's for a shot at what's that? Oh, in Calgary.
Yeah. In July, I believe.
Is it going to be just like a Dynamite?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because after Forbidden Door, there's not another pay-per-view till All In.
Until Wembley. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Wembley, it would be the winner of the Owen versus the world champion.
Yeah. So if Swerve's still champ, Hangman, from a storyline perspective, makes a lot of sense.
To take another L against Swerve?
I know, that's the thing.
Or
a new match, one we haven't seen before, I don't believe. Danielson and Swerve for the title.
Boy, if Hangman is the wild card, I kind of find it difficult to believe that he would lose the Owen. Seems like he'd win the thing. And then Danielson would just continue that story of like, man, I really can't win the big one, can I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then his contract's up in September, I want to say.
But then it's like either lose the big one in the Owen or lose the big one at Wembley. He's not going to win the world title.
He's not going to win the title, no. But that'd be the question then is if it's Hangman and Swerve at Wembley in the main event, would that be 3 straight L's for Paige? Or they have Paige win the title at Wembley with the help of the Elite.
Ooh.
And then they would have all the belts.
Yeah, they would. Swerve's got to chase him. Yeah, I kind of like that. There are some interesting pieces in place.
There are, and hopefully they make the right choices in terms of telling the stories they have set up.
Yeah, hey,
because the possibility is there for. I was thinking about this the other day, the conversation we had about AEW, and one thing WWE has done historically and still does really well is giving us those moments.
Yeah,
they know how to do moments really well.
They do, yeah.
Not to say AEW hasn't ever had moments that are impactful that you remember. They're just not. They're just fewer and more far between than how WWE approaches it.
They still have a hard time with presentation, and I think that plays into the big moments because big moments have to be framed properly. They have to set up well and be presented well. Yeah, I agree with that. And they do. They've got some things set up. Let's go back to 2017. What was the thing that we said endlessly? What's the worst possible outcome of Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton?
Oh, boring face champion Randall Keith Orton.
And it's and that's what we got. And it's because they didn't take the more interesting route. And AEW needs to learn to take the more interesting route. And I think that's been sort of their fumble a lot of the times is you set something up that could be really, really cool. And then it just sort of farts away, you know? And it's like, sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they get it really right. Hangman Page's first title win. Really well done.
Yeah, they handled that really well in the moments. There's a lot of moments in that story with Hangman and the Elite that were really, really good.
Mm-hmm, yeah. But then you get like an SCU breaking up and then they cut backstage.
Immediately, yeah, something that could be a moment. And I think last night on Dynamite, they were trying to do a moment with Daniel Garcia in the ring. Like, hey, he's going to be a main eventer going forward. But it was so long.
Good Lord, that was a long segment.
It was 16 minutes plus.
Jesus.
And then it was kind of, listen, I get the point. But then you have MJF challenging him to a match at All In at Wembley, which is huge for Garcia.
Yeah.
And I get it. You have Ospreay come in and take it in the spotlight away from MJF challenging Garcia to give Garcia an international title opportunity on Dynamite next week. But I don't know. It was too long, and it was like, all right, you're trying to get too much going on here in one segment, and the segment's long as it is. And it didn't feel like there was enough impact or punctuation to it.
I'll be honest with you. The last like 3 minutes, I really dug. I loved the Ospreay MJF stuff because to me, again, that's really helped if Ospreay loses at Forbidden Door.
Oh, absolutely.
And then has that feud with MJF where MJF eviscerates him. He's the longest reigning champion historically, and Ospreay couldn't get the job done, and that's going to be the thing, and MJF will just hammer that into the ground. But that's a killer feud that people are going to want to see, and that's a huge win for Ospreay.
It's the thing that in theory and on paper, I'm like, okay, this sounds cool, but in execution, it just felt a little clumsy. Mm-hmm. To me, at least.
The first 13 minutes did because Garcia's thing is not talking, and that's okay. That's totally fine. He's getting there. He's young, and that's never been his thing. His thing is like he's just a really, really good young wrestler, who takes from Shibata the Suzuki kind of thing,
Yeah.
But him coming out and just talking a lot, it's not really the thing. And then MJF is long-winded anyways.
Yeah.
With his new, what do you think of the new presentation of MJF? The Grease Lightning MJF.
What they should have done is done a cover of his theme song, but like in the style of Motorhead.
I was gonna say in the style of one of the songs from the musical Grease, because he looks like a T-bird. He fucking looks like a T-bird.
Going back to when he came back, when he had the leather jacket with a denim vest over it, it just feels like this. He wants this to be his Triple H run,
Well, I think that was supposed to be a Triple H moment, but then he took off the denim
I know,
vest
but like Triple H wore a leather jacket all the time.
Oh, Grease Lightning. You weren't a Grease fan, were you?
I don't think I've ever seen the movie all the way through in one sitting.
It's like me and Jaws.
I'm like that with Jaws too.
Oh, really?
I've seen the entirety of Jaws. I think
I've seen everything, yeah. But
I don't know if I've seen the entire movie in one sitting.
Yeah, Grease I've seen several times through.
I'm not a huge musical fan though, so
I know that neither am I usually, but Grease is my one thing where it's like, God damn, this movie's awesome.
it's because you like the music. That's what it is.
The music is really good.
But I've heard those songs so many times. It's like, do I really need to see the movie? Probably not. I know the story.
Yeah,
I know the songs. I've heard them a lot.
At this point, yeah. But yeah, no, look, I think that match is going to be really, really good. I think there might have been a more interesting way to build it, but Ospreay coming out and kind of stealing MJF's thunder without even really meaning to necessarily. But I kind of like the subtext that, oh yeah, he's kind of sticking at MJF. Ospreay, he's a good guy, but also he kind of likes sticking at MJF a little bit, you know?
Ospreay's a good guy, but he likes the spotlight.
Yes, yeah. Hey, he's got a killer theme song too. Talk about like presentation for Ospreay is a 10 out of 10. It's really
good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Even when he rolls out there with his sweatpants and Bruv soccer jersey.
The Bruv soccer jersey is a really strong piece of merchandise because it's him, you know, like that it's him through and through.
Yeah.
And he's got the self-deprecating humor. I like Ospreay. I think he's really good, man.
No, I think he's been doing a great job. Like I said, on paper, I think it's a good idea, but for whatever reason, the segment probably was way too long. Just didn't.
I honestly think it was because, good Lord, they just talked a lot before you got to Ospreay. If they were talking for like 7 minutes and not 13 minutes, I think it would have been vastly improved. 5 even better. I think it would have been vastly improved. I really do. But there was just so much talking there.
Talk about confusion. Let's talk about this. Learning tree.
Yeah, okay.
So Jericho says, all right, Brian Keith is hurt. We need a new partner for Forbidden Door against Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata. We got a video from our new partner, but I haven't watched it yet. So that's your first thought that, something could be strange here.
Yeah.
So he throws the Tron, and it's Minoru Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
So Jericho's under the impression that Suzuki is going to drop a promo saying, yes, I'm eager to be a branch of the learning tree. Instead, Suzuki does the opposite. Says, I have no interest in teaming with you. In fact, I want to challenge you to an FTW title match.
Yeah.
And so at the conclusion of the segment, you got Joe and Hook and Shibata come out. There's a brawl. You're left wondering, so what's the match of Forbidden Door? Is it Suzuki and Jericho? Is there still a tag match happening? Apparently, it's the confusion is rested at Collision.
Yeah.
The match for Forbidden Door is booked. We won't spoil it if you want to wait till Saturday. But it was an interesting approach and a rather confusing approach to maybe booking a match for Forbidden Door or not.
I thought for sure that the match was then Jericho versus Suzuki at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah,
that's a totally fair assumption to make. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. I don't care what Joe's going to do, but the rest of these guys, Jericho and Suzuki, I'm kind of into that match. I think that might be decent. But yeah, evidently it's going to be something else. I don't know when the Suzuki Jericho FTW rules match is going to happen. Probably in a Dynamite or something.
Yeah, I imagine. Also, another match made for Forbidden Door. The Elite will be facing the Acclaimed and not Billy Gunn. It will be Go Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi teaming with Max Caster, Anthony Bowens.
Did Okada know this before he went out there?
I don't know.
His reaction was so seemingly genuine and unexpected.
Him laughing and then getting really straight-faced about it.
He was laughing his ass off at that video, but it was like, oh, what a surprise this is. I didn't realize this was going to happen. I love it. There was the idea that Okada, when he left New Japan, it was going to be, I'm done with New Japan. But Tanahashi sort of following him for Forbidden Door, saying, hey, I'm opening this Forbidden Door.
The rivalry you can't get away from.
The rival you can't get away from, exactly. And then Okada's response to that, just sort of laughing in seemingly a very genuine way, and then collecting himself.
Yeah,
I thought was good. But no, Tanahashi being added to the Acclaimed, I'm cool with that. I think that's pretty cool. Adding
Scissor Ace,
Scissor Ace. Yeah, that's good. That's fun. Hopefully, he'll have like a pink themed. Because his presentation is always a 10 out of 10.
Heck yeah. Oh, it'd be great if he had like his usual type gear, but usually it's got some red and blue in it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Pink. Heck yeah.
Just do the pink option right there. You probably look like $1 million.
Heck yeah. All right, let's get into it.
All right.
Show kicked off with a 16-minute segment with MJF and Daniel Garcia and Ospreay. We're not going to go through all of it because there's a lot. Essentially, Garcia comes out and says, MJF comes out first. Garcia interrupts him and says, I'm going to do something most people don't do. I'm going to come out and say good things about you, Max. And he says, essentially, MJF one time backstage says, hey, I look at you, Danny, like I look at myself as a pillar of this company. And so he got a title match against MJF. He lost that, but he says, I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity. And now I feel like I don't want to just be a pillar. I want to be the backbone of AEW. I want to be the foundation of the future of this company. He says, after I just said all these nice things about you, you certainly aren't going to come out here and talk shit about Buffalo, where Garcia's from, or me. And so MJF says, I actually came out here not to talk crap about Buffalo. Came out here to call you out because I want to ask you a question. Do you want to face me at All In Wembley Stadium? And as Garcia is about to answer, that's when Ospreay interrupts and says, hey, Garcia, I really like what you've been doing. I know you want an international title shot. Let's get past Forbidden Door, and the next Wednesday on Dynamite, you get your title opportunity. And while that's all happening, MJF is standing in the corner just like, who the hell is this Will Ospreay guy? Why is he out here interrupting my promo segment, interrupting my challenge? So, of course, Garcia accepts Ospreay's challenge for Dynamite in Chicago next week. They shake hands. Ospreay looks over at MJF and then leaves.
And
so
MJF
Garcia's like,
not happy.
Not happy. So Garcia's about to get back to the conversation with MJF, and MJF's like, you know what? That's a huge opportunity for you. You need to focus on that. I'm really proud of you. Best of luck. And he leaves. He walks up the ramp. Which tunnel does he go through? Goes through the heel tunnel.
The bad guy tunnel.
Yep.
Isn't that the tunnel he always uses?
Yes, the left one is the heel tunnel. The right one is the babyface tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah, he always goes through that one.
Well,
he's a bad guy. He's a scumbag, you know.
He's a tweener, Steve.
Well, he should use the MJF Vader.
Well, that's what the Elite use.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, long segment, but there was some good stuff there.
There was, and then backstage, Swerve is watching, and he's
Swerve is watching. He's like,
because
the fuck is
when
this
Ospreay challenged Garcia to the international title match, it wasn't just for the international title. He says it's me for all the gold, the international and the world championship.
Yeah, man, a little presumptuous. Swerve thinks. He says,
Yes.
Will, why are you already offering title opportunities before a match at Forbidden Door, bro? This is just like you, putting the cart before the horse. Just like I said, you don't have the strength to carry the weight of two worlds on your shoulders, man. But you better hold up your end of the bargain tonight against Gates of Agony. You got a focus problem, it seems, Will. To me, that's not a good mindset for our champion, in my opinion.
Then we had 6-man tag action. Blackpool Combat Club, John Moxley, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta. Yuta heads eating good.
Yuta heads eating good.
Against LIJ members.
Yeah, man.
Hiromu Takahashi, Shingo Takagi, and Titan. A solid 15-minute wrestle match.
Yep, just one of them wrestle matches. You know, if they start going to headlocks, I can just get on my phone right there. Oh, I see some action now. Okay, picture, get on my phone.
Yep, and a wrestle match that ends at a DQ.
Yeah.
And a DQ that leads to Tetsuya Naito. So Mox comes in, blasts Hiromu in the back with a chair. Naito's music hits. And in true Tetsuya Naito fashion, he takes his sweet, sweet time making his way through the tunnel. And he's got his suit on, you know, and so he's very slowly and deliberately taking his jacket off and unbuttoning his cuffs on his sleeves and unbuttoning his shirt, taking that off. And like the brawl spills out to the floor and Mox is just in the ring staring at him. And it seems like Mox is like, I'm tired of waiting, like legitimately. And so he rushes up the ramp right as Naito is ripping off his tearaway pants.
Yeah.
And so they start fighting. And then pretty quickly they cut away from their brawl as they kind of go to the gap between the stage and the audience and focus on Shingo's in the ring. And he's hitting Yuta with a bunch of 12-6 elbows. So Danielson, who's on commentary, rushes to the ring and Shingo stops and they just have a stare down.
Do you know if this gimmick of Naito's, the I'm just going to make you wait thing, I know he's traditionally done that in the ring with the suit, but I saw at the press conference, like for the original match for the world title, he was making Mox wait an obscene amount of time for, I forget exactly what the situation was, but it was the press conference, and it was just pissing off Mox. Is this a gimmick specific to Mox, or is this something that he
He does all the time, yeah.
Well, yeah, but like the press conference, it was like obscene how long he was making him wait, and then he's got the shirt. It's like a new shirt that says, "I'm just gonna make you wait."
Yeah. So maybe he's doubling down on the.
I think he is. Yeah, it's
the
hilarious.
languid pace of how he does things. Yes.
It's like what aspect of me is most annoying? It's like
At least as it
making
relates to
people wait.
Mox, apparently it's my deliberate pace when I do anything and everything.
It is very grating, but hilarious also because it's Naito.
Yeah.
He does things on Naito time.
After that, we have Jay White versus Ray Phoenix Owen Cup tournament action. Jay White gets the win here after reverses Phoenix's finisher into a Blade Runner, but then Christian's music hits. He walks out with the patriarchy, and he starts walking up the ring steps. And Jay White then leans over the top rope and starts talking trash to him, so Christian backs off. So they're setting up a trios match. Somehow isn't happening at Forbidden Door because there's already 13 to 16 matches on the card. 16's a joke. But we're going to get the patriarchy versus, now they're calling them Bullet Club again.
Yeah.
It was interesting because they had Gabriel Kidd sitting ringside with Undisputed Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
But then throughout, Kidd was just like yelling. Sometimes at Roddy, sometimes just it like up into the air. So I was kind of hoping. I know Jay White, he's out of New Japan. He lost a loser leaves New Japan match. So I don't know if he's ever going to really interact with full-time New Japan roster members. But you got to think there was a reason they started calling Bang Bang Gang Bullet Club Gold again.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, maybe we're going to get
Like an actual Bullet Club versus
we're
Bullet Club
going to
thing.
get the Guns and Jay taking on
Wolfpack
War
versus
Dogs.
Hollywood.
Something like that. But I guess not.
Yeah. I don't know what changed. It's weird because as soon as Juice Robinson came back, he was wearing a Bullet Club Gold thing, and then
They
Sean
mentioned him.
Ross Sapp, I
They
think,
called
had
him Bullet Club Gold on commentary last night.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe something changed. I wonder. You got to wonder because you got to think that the big sticking point has to be merchandise money.
You think so?
Like that's the only reason. Like otherwise, what does anybody care? You
Yeah.
know. So I wonder if they had something figured out for that.
That could be. That could be. After that, we had a Young Bucks promo. Nick says it's time to handle some business. He says, last week I was angry and brought the belts into the ring, and the Acclaim took advantage of that and won. But when these titles are on the line, the results are going to be different. And the match says, we're still tag champs. Okada's still Continental champ. And after Forbidden Door, Jack Perry will be TNT champ. But we got some breaking news. Next week, the Elite will enter their own wild card to the Owen tournament. And after wild card, Hangman Page wins and then goes on to win the world title at Wembley, we'll have all the gold and all the power.
So Jimmy Thomas here says it's what Naito does. Once he took so long to come out, his music started over, so he went back up the tunnel. How long has he been doing this for? It's amazing. Because I remember he used to do that shit, like just taking his damn time in the ring with the thing. But
He'd
apparently
always his entrance was always slow, but yeah, he'd taken his time. And sometimes match would start and he'd put his body through the ropes.
The fact that he now has a shirt,
I know,
that's like leaning into the gimmick. I'm kind of curious when that started for him.
Then the Acclaim come to the ring with Billy Gunn. And this was all about them beating the Young Bucks in the Eliminator match. And the caster says, the Young Bucks, we exposed you, proved you can't run TV production, and you can't run from a fight. And Bowen says, we've been strategizing about the right time to make our challenge for the tag titles, but when we do, we're going to win, be two-time tag champs. They're about to scissor. They get interrupted by Okada, the Young Bucks, by Okada saying, wait. Scissor me, bitch.
Yeah.
And so Nick issues the challenge at Forbidden Doors, the three of us, the Elite versus the three of you. Billy takes the mic. Says, as much as I want to kick your ass, kick the crap out of you, I got something better. I know how to deal with EVPs. I have people in high places, and I happen to know a president. So on the Tron, there's a promo from Go Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Says he's going to be at Forbidden Door to fight Okada and the Elite. Scissor Ace is coming.
Scissor Ace. After that, we had one of these Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Kyle O'Reilly interviews where Mark says, Sunday, there's a convergence on the Big Apple. Conglomeration will be there. I got a ladder match for the TNT title. I got 2 shoulders, but only 1 title, so I need to add the TNT strap to my collection. My main man, Orange Cassidy, is Zack Sabre Jr. in one-on-one action. And then Kyle O'Reilly does his best impression of a Mark Briscoe promo, where he calls out Zack Sabre Jr., even busts out a little bit of a British accent here towards the finish. He said he's going to bust his jaw with his shin. And so his dad doesn't even, so Zack Sabre Sr. doesn't recognize him anymore. Yeah. He said, oh, you've hit my boy. Is this working? And he's like, is this even working? Talking about him aping a Mark Briscoe promo. I love it. Add some of this. Zack Sabre Jr., nothing but fish and chips. Nothing but a spot of tea. You're soft, son. So, yeah, that was pretty. That was
he
pretty
says, you're Peppa Pig.
Yeah, Peppa Pig, yeah.
Then we had a tag match, Toni Storm, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa taking on Saraya, Anna Jay, and Harley Cameron. It's all about the dynamic between, basically, Mariah May being stuck in the middle between Toni Storm and Mina, and Toni and Mina trying to, appeal to Mariah's sense of loyalty to
You know what this would be like? If, like, you and Hilton finally had your big blow-off match 20 years after this was set up at that house party.
Uh-huh.
And then I was, like, caught in the middle.
All right.
That's what it would be like.
That's what it'd be like.
Like, I walk you down to the ring or the basketball court, maybe.
Go back up.
And then I have to go back and do my dance routine with Hilton.
Yeah. How'd the dance routine go?
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Be a lot of Running Man.
A lot of Running Man, yeah. You ever seen that the Boogie Nights video from Heat Wave, the band Heat
I'm
Wave?
sure I have, yeah.
Yeah. They do like Boogie Nights. Doom, doom, doom.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom. That song's got such a great bass line.
Oh, it's amazing. Doom, doom. Yeah, that's great.
Boom, boom, boom,
I am
boom,
shocked
boom.
that the movie Boogie Nights did not use the song Boogie Nights.
They couldn't license it.
Which is bizarre because it has a deep ass soundtrack.
I know.
A lot of great licensed songs.
Instead, they have, was it Boogie Shoes?
Mm-hmm. My boogie shoes.
Yeah.
Boogie Nights.
So Mina gets the win for her team. Catches a kick from Harley Cameron. Hits a back fist. Follows their finisher to get the win. So Mariah gets in the ring. Hugs Mina. She goes and gets a couple of glasses of champagne. Brings them to the ring and hands one to Toni, one to Mina. So they toast and they drink. So Toni ends up kind of dancing with Mariah a little bit. Mina gets upset. She goes to the ice bucket, takes out the bottle of champagne, and tries to hit Toni with it, but Toni moves. Instead, Mina breaks that bottle over Mariah's head.
Ouch.
And Toni goes to check on Mariah and then gets right in Mina's face, and the rest have to come out to separate him and checking on Mariah.
Yeah, man. Will that play into the Forbidden Door match? Nobody likes getting blasted in the head with a champagne.
No, that probably hurts.
Champagne. After that, we had a Mercedes Moné Stephanie Vaquer video package, followed by a Mercedes Moné promo. She says, Hola, Stephanie, I flew all the way to Mexico to watch your title match, and here I am at Dynamite. But where are you? You must be salty after I kicked your ass and held both titles above my head, and that's exactly what's going to happen in Forbidden Door, because I told you there's a price to pay when you mess with Moné. So I heard you have a match on Collision right here in Buffalo. I guess the TBS champ's going to have to sit ringside for your bitch. So enjoy your final days as strong champion, because this Sunday I'm going to right my final wrong. And 2 belts, Moné, she changes everything. And this was Larson's favorite promo part of the show.
Oh, heck.
Learning Tree.
So Big Bill starts.
And we do not have to read this whole
No, I'm not going to read the whole thing. He talks about Joe and Hook Shibata injuring Brian Keith. He had his arm in a sling. But he says, in the wise words of Chris Jericho, when one door closes, another door, perhaps a forbidden door, opens. And that's when Jericho takes the mic and says, well, we got another partner. He throws the video. It's Suzuki, that says, no, I don't want to wrestle with you side by side. I want to wrestle by your side. I don't want to wrestle you one-on-one. I hate your soft way of thinking now, the learning tree. I want nothing to do with anything like that. I will not be your partner. Instead, put your FTW title on the line. Thank you, guys. See you soon. So Jericho's just standing in the ring, stunned. Joe, Hook, Shibata come to the ring, and Joe just says, well, that was awkward. You came here to Buffalo looking for a savior, and you have struck out again. Oh, Jericho, you see, what we've learned tonight is that the learning tree is like the Jericho family tree. It doesn't have enough branches. We've been discussing amongst ourselves. Now, how do we feel when you're dropping these nuggets of knowledge on the world? And Shibata summed it up better than anyone. So Shibata gets his phone out and holds it up. And it says, "Oh, brother, this guy sucks."
Big pop from the crowd there. That was a pretty funny moment there.
It was. So Joe steps to Jericho. Jericho slaps him. Brawl breaks out. Joe and Hook and Shibata clear the ring of the learning tree.
Yeah, and that's picked up on Collision. After that, we had Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kyle O'Reilly. Boy, oh boy. These guys can wrestle.
You got that right.
And that's what this was. And this was when they really were focusing on the Gabe Kidd stuff. He's sitting there next to the Undisputed Kingdom, Roderick Strong mainly. And, Gabe Kidd is rooting for his New Japan guy. And obviously, Roderick Strong.
He was like yelling at Roddy. I guess because Roddy, is friends with Kyle O'Reilly. And later on.
Well, yeah, dude. That's what, I don't know. This is one of those things where it's like, okay, you guys need to figure this out.
Exactly.
Because you had Roderick Strong and his dudes trying to recruit Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly was reluctantly kind of into it. Then they turn on him randomly.
Yeah.
It's on an episode of Collision just so they can have that pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
Now they're expressing affection for Kyle O'Reilly again.
Which one is it going to be?
Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe because we didn't really watch Collision.
Collision and Rampage. We only watched Dynamite.
Yeah, it kind of wouldn't surprise me if I'm not really missing anything and they're just going back to this.
A pivot.
Yeah.
So eventually, let's see here. So Sabre is working over Kyle O'Reilly's neck and arm. Kyle's working over Zach's leg. Ultimately, Zach looks for a flying cross-arm breaker, transitions to a triangle. Kyle tries to escape that, but Zach transitioned to a nasty-looking Fujiwara arm bar. Kyle has to tap pretty much immediately. So Orange, who was on commentary, comes to the ring to check on Kyle. Roddy comes in, pushes past Orange to check on Kyle. And then Zack Sabre Jr. pulls Orange over by him. They start talking crap. Robbie Eagles, Shane Haste, TMDK members run to the ring, stand by Zack. Then Tomohiro Ishii comes to the ring. He's got Orange's back. And while this is happening, Gabriel Kidd is standing on the apron and just yelling. I'm not even sure who he's yelling at.
Yeah, I think that's his thing. I like him a lot. Every time
I do
I've
too.
Seen, yeah.
I do too. But I don't. In terms of whatever story they're trying to tell, who's he yelling at?
Oh, bro, I don't even know what the story they're trying to tell is. I have no idea.
Why is he yelling?
No clue. It's just they just got a bunch of characters from both promotions, throw them out there and just do their thing. Yeah, I have no idea. They're all great though. This is gonna be a good match.
Oh,
whatever match we're talking about. Because it's Orange Cassidy and that's gonna be. Oh man, it's gonna be good.
Zack Sabre Jr. has to win that one, right?
Is this for a title?
No.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the Orange title anymore.
No,
Who has the Orange
Jeff
title
Cobb's
now?
TV champ.
Oh, that's right. That's cool. Yeah, just a straight up match. Why do you think Zack Sabre Jr. is going to win that?
Well, I'm just looking at the card, and not that I should be all that concerned about it, but you got to think New Japan wrestlers can get some wins somewhere.
Naito winning that title is going to be big.
Okay, that's 1 of 10
right,
on the main card.
A second. Hold on. Let me go to the thing here. Preview for our predictions, which we're going to do later. Let's see here. Yeah, so there's AEW gets the win. Scissor Race.
What?
Scissor Race. Acclaimed.
They just beat the Young Bucks.
Yeah, right. But this is for the
match.
title. They're gonna get that one, this one, and then they're gonna lose the title match.
I don't know. I think the Elite could win that one. That's not a given.
Let's see here. Naito.
Because Danielson will beat Shingo. Hook, Joe, and Shibata will most likely beat the Learning Tree.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That can go either way.
Anyways, Zack Sabre Jr. has to win that match.
And then you got the pre-show. Oh, pre-show. Yeah, LIJ gets the win there.
Oh, over the Lucha Brothers and Mystico? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, pen is cooked.
His contract's up in a couple months, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like, I don't know. I mean, you could do the thing where, like, the Callis family gets in the way and Orange Cassidy takes the L there.
Yeah, Trent costs the match or something like that, essentially.
Yeah, and then Trent loses another match to Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, of course. After that, we had our main event. Swerve and Ospreay taking on Gates of Agony. Of course, this is a classic can they coexist situation where there was a couple mishaps. One where Swerve almost got kicked, and another where Swerve did get kicked by Ospreay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They get their shit together long enough to get the win.
They look like they're having so much fun in this. I hope they really do have some pieces that can be feuding for a long time, where they're just having a lot of fun. Hangman, Swerve, Ospreay, those guys are just that they can do a lot with that if they really take their time and try to tell some stories here.
Yeah. Yep. So towards the end, they were working together pretty well. Gates of Agony's looking for their finisher on Ospreay. He escapes. So Swerve kicks Khan, and then Swerve and Ospreay take out Leona. Will follows with an Cutter gets a 2. And then Swerve snaps Khan's arm, and when Ospreay watches him do it, and he kind of recoils when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So then Ospreay hits Leona with a hidden blade to get the win. Afterwards, Swerve gets in Ospreay's face. They go back and forth, and again, Ospreay snatches a world title from Swerve's hand, but this time Swerve kicks him in the back of the leg, follows with a house call, picks up the AEW title, and puts it over his shoulder.
Just destroys his head without a house call too.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. Now that we finished our Dynamite review, Larson, would you like to answer some questions?
Sure.
This is, where we get our questions from, too. Question threads that we put up exclusive to Friendo Club Setup members.
Indeed.
You also get bonus episodes, and you also get access to the Big Blue Prediction Challenge. We had an alert from Cody Miles, our predictions form wizard, today.
Yes.
And he said, even if you did not participate in the NXT Heatwave and WWE predictions challenge that kicked off the month of champions, because it's all one big event,
Clash of Champions, yes.
3 sub-events. There's still enough points on the board. If AEW throws some crazy curveballs and somebody gets everything right, they can still win, even if they didn't do NXT or the premium, whatever the thing was. That
Clash of
WWE
Champions.
did. Clash of Champions there in
Yeah.
Scotland. Calls goal. So it's not too late to win. Big Blue, even if you have 0 points on the board. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, that means I got the advantage because I got like a bunch of points already from
You got
those other
points
ones.
as opposed to someone who has 0.
Right, exactly. But they could still win, and I'm not the smartest knife in the shed, so you could still win. You know how you get the Friendo Club Setup membership, Larson?
Tell me how.
Well, there's 2 ways to do it. Number 1, patreon.com/Steven Larson. Click on Friendo Club Setup, $5 a month. Or you don't want to do that. Stay right here, youtube.com/Steven Larson. Click join, $5 a month, get the same shit. It's pretty great.
Indeed. We got about 500, a little more 500 people watching now, yet we only have 140 likes. Please, if you could, hit that I
like
gotta
button.
stop messing with this pen. It just leaves ink on my hands.
What in the world?
I got nervous energy.
Yeah, it doesn't come from dealing with severe anxiety in your 20s.
So anyways,
Can we please do a shirt that says I dealt with severe anxiety
in my mid-20s. Sure.
It is very much a catchphrase at this point.
Anyway, smash that like button, please. It helps the video. It's good for the algorithm. It's good for us because we crave validation.
We love it.
Also, if you like what you're hearing, you're seeing here, and you're new, hit the subscribe button. Hit that notify bell so you can be notified of all our new content when it goes up.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Do it. Thank you. Please and thank you. All right, let's go ahead and answer some questions.
Let's answer some questions. Jeff asks, what storyline direction for MJF makes sense going forward? It's early, but it doesn't seem like they have a clear direction other than I'm sure he and Ospreay will get into it at some point.
How about this? We're in the summertime right now.
We are.
So he strikes up a romance, but she thinks he's like a hella good guy. Then she ends up coming to AEW. Like they do that in CML or something. She ends up...
Grease.
Don't interrupt.
Grease.
Don't interrupt. She ends up coming to AEW, finds out he's a scumbag. Yeah, man. Go Grease Lightning. Blah, 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 blah. Grease Lightning. Go Grease Lightning.
Dun, 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 dun. Blake Whitehouse, is there a match between
Summer
wrestlers you want to
lovin'.
see but feel like their chemistry might not click as well as you think it would? Like a situation where Kevin Owens and AJ Styles get into a feud for the U.S. title. Like, yes, this could be great. And then the matches were not that good.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
But-
So is that's
No, the question is a situation like that hasn't happened yet. That there's a fear you have that the chemistry could not be good, even though you really want to see the match.
DIJAK and Lance Archer.
Oh man, make it a no holds barred, lights out match. They're gonna tear the house down.
Ooh, boy, that's gonna be a good one. Yeah, the Usos.
Yeah. We saw that.
you thought Twins would really put on a banger, but
I mean, as Jay tells it, they weren't given the time, but I don't think necessarily time was the issue there. Luis says, were there any instances of late WCW where they could have turned it around or at least survive?
Oh, dude,
Yeah, if Dude and AWOL Time Warner decided to keep the show on the schedule, they would have survived.
Oh, I thought it was WCW. I thought he said
WCW, yeah.
For some reason in my head, I heard you say WWECW. No,
Oh, wow.
that was trash. But WCW, yeah, like you said, if Jamie Kellner was like, I love wrestling. It's amazing. Let's keep it here. Yeah.
If he was just indifferent towards wrestling. Yeah, whatever. We'll keep it on.
Yeah.
But no. Neat Kyles asks, if Dijak shows up in AEW, how would he deliver hard justice to the elite?
That's right. Hard justice.
That's right.
He'd be the new elite hunter.
Yeah, but that's not a position you want to be in, Steve.
Isn't it?
No,
Look at
because you saw
Kazarian.
with Frankie Kazarian,
Oh, that's a bad
even
example.
going back to Bullet Club Hunter.
Yeah.
It didn't work for anybody involved.
Yoshitatsu.
Yoshitatsu, correct.
Let's see here. Kiddo says, what do you think is Tony Khan's philosophy for having the bad guys come out of the left tunnel and the good guys coming out of the right tunnel?
So you know who's the good guy and the bad guy before the match starts.
In kayfabe, how do you decide if you're a good guy or bad guy? That's a question from Steve.
Are you assigned a tunnel when you're booked in a match?
If you're assigned a tunnel, he's like, hey, you get the left tunnel. Wait, I get the left tunnel?
So here's a question.
Cool. I'm nice, though.
Do you think heels in wrestling are aware that they're heels?
I mean, MJF literally said, I'm a scumbag and I'm your scumbag. He has talked endlessly about now he's a good guy or now he's not a good guy. So I think some are. Samoa Joe, I think, has said the words, I'm a bad man. But then people love Joe.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
What about someone like Drew McIntyre? I know he's not in AEW, but a situation where WWE had the dual tunnels.
I don't think Drew McIntyre's a bad guy.
I don't think so either.
I think that dude's made nothing but good points. Yeah, I don't know. I think they need to start playing with that dynamic, though. It's like, why is this guy coming out of the good guy tunnel? He's clearly a bad guy because he thinks he's a good guy.
Mm-hmm. Chaz here asked, do you guys have a comfort match, like a match you would just put on during lunch or before bed? Says RVD versus Jerry Lynn from ECW Living Dangerously is one of my comfort matches. Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi was at Wrestle Kingdom 9.
I hear it's amazing.
It's fantastic. You should really watch it.
Yeah, maybe. Comfort matches. I have like comfort shows. Like sometimes if I really want that 90s nostalgia itch, I'll put on some ECW or some WCW Nitro.
Payday says, besides wrestling and Star Trek, what is the nerdiest thing you each can talk about for hours? I could probably talk about shoes for hours.
Besides Star Trek, I could probably talk about comic books for hours. I could talk about movies for hours.
Yeah, I could talk about movies. Probably baseball up until the mid-90s. I could probably talk about for hours.
Yeah. Talk about the Beatles for hours. I know way too much about them. Grease, the movie. Talk about that for hours. That's the first thing I thought when it came out. It's like, goddamn, you look like Danny Zuko. He looks like the dude from Grease 2. There was a conversation here in chat. Somebody actually was like, Aaron L here on our YouTube chat, a Friendo Club setup member at that, said Grease 2 is better than the first Grease. What a
Interesting.
what a hot take
Is
that
that
is.
Michelle Pfeiffer in Grease too?
Yeah, yeah. And then another dude, I don't know who, like, they got some lead who's got like negative Riz. He's got like no aura whatsoever. Like, you're going from Travolta to that guy? That's crazy.
I haven't seen that one either.
I don't think I've ever watched Grease 2 before. I've just seen little bits and pieces. I'm like,
Maxwell Caulfield.
Yeah, sounds right.
That's the name of the lead in the second one.
Like, you got somebody else? I don't know what year that movie was. Probably like 1980. What
82.
year was 82?
Yeah.
John Lawson Jr. says, I love Grease 2. Really? That's crazy.
Maybe you should watch it. Maybe it'll surprise you.
It
Expectations are low.
Super low. No. Who in 1982 should they have gotten, though? Shatner.
Oh, gosh. He'd do all the songs like his
Yeah,
cover
that'd
of
be
Rocket
amazing.
Man.
Go, Grease Lightning.
Summer Lovin'.
Got me. So fast.
Let's see here. Steve Klain, if you were a branch in the learning tree, what might you want to learn from Jericho?
How is it people don't want to see him on TV, but yet he always gets TV time? I mean, I guess that's sort of the point of his whole thing. He made that Cody reference. You notice that?
He did. I'm just here to help the young stars. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. What the? Oh, wow. Okay. Joe the Meme Maker says, if there is a reason both main rosters were unable to perform for a Raw or SmackDown, who out of the current WWE agents do you think can still go? Here's your main event, Aldis versus Pierce. That would draw fucking ratings.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Oh, that would be ratings. Jason Jordan, unfortunately, is retired because of, I think, neck
injury, I believe.
Yeah. But like Jamie Noble, maybe?
Maybe.
Kenny Dykstra?
Yeah, I don't know like what their status is as far as
I don't know either.
Shane Helms? Can Shane Helms still wrestle?
Probably. Yeah,
but you're right. Yeah, it's Aldis and Adam Pierce.
Aldis and Pierce. That's a Mania main event right there. Oh, Abyss? Yeah. Regal versus Abyss?
Regal can't wrestle anymore, though.
Bummer. Cinematic match.
Maybe. Oh yeah, Petey Williams.
Oh, man. Canadian Destroyer.
Bob Roode?
Yeah, that's right. Bobby Roode's cleared.
Chris Stanton asks, what confidence points would you put on Shane McMahon showing up at Forbidden Door?
Corey Graves has been in the ring lately, too.
That's true.
What now?
What confidence point value would you put on Shane McMahon showing up at Forbidden Door?
Shane McMahon. Oh, wow.
Between 1 and 10.
Zero's not an option.
No.
If it was a yes, it'd be 1.
Yeah,
I do not see that happening.
No, not Forbidden Door, no.
I'll pop huge, though. Big time.
It'd be a groan from old Larson.
Can you give me a groan? Yeah. Heavy sigh.
Heavy sigh with a little groan in there.
A little tiny groan in there. Let's see here.
Edward Munoz asks, how can and should companies gauge and recognize talent as future stars? I have seen the usual comments of, oh, he never would have been a main eventer, or they must not have had a story, but does that not show shortcomings of creative and not the wrestler? Triple H will let this happen is shocking to me. I'm guessing this is in reference to DIJAK leaving WWE.
It's a... Number one, I don't think that there is a standardized answer to this. I think that there are certain people who need that WWE way of doing things for their, like, for example, Damian Sandow. I think that they had nailed his character in WWE. It's just Vince soured on him for whatever reason. But that dude had everything. But then he goes to TNA and it's just like, okay, they didn't know really how to take advantage of all that. And it's TNA on top of that. There's a ceiling there. But then at the same time, like, they had Mr. Kennedy. I never saw it in that guy. I know other people did. I did not see it in that guy. I didn't see it until the August 1 morning, to be honest with you. Once that happened, it was like, oh, that guy's got the aura.
Yeah.
Look at how he's scratching the back of his head. Look at how confused he is. Star.
Oh, yeah. It seemed like, though, for maybe this still is the case, they were trying to come up with some sort of standardized valuation process in NXT because we were hearing like every 6 months they would do evaluations and they didn't think you were, where you should be. They would let you go.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's something that carries over on main roster or not. You'd think main roster, obviously, you're past the developmental phase to a degree. It's just confusing that if they called DIJAK up to main roster without a clear idea of how to utilize him, they would have drafted him at all. But at the same time, there's been instances. I mean, heck, Odyssey Jones has been drafted twice the last 2 years and has never been seen on main roster television.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. That one's kind of crazy too. I don't know what the deal with that is. Like, I have no idea if that guy can go. I mean, there's so much we know about DIJAK. There's a lot we don't know about Odyssey Jones.
Yeah. We know he's a fantastic wrestler, and he found a character that was really working for him in NXT. It's just crazy that you could probably, take 5 minutes and think about 5-10 ways he could have been utilized on main roster and just wasn't.
Yeah.
So that's all the questions I got.
Let me see if I have any other solid ones here. I saw this question on the Twitter. So Elemental Giant here will answer it, or will ask it here. If Cody never returned to WWE, who would have beaten Roman?
Wow.
I think they could have told a great story with Seth.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think that would have been absolutely just a killer story.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Tomorrow, we're going to have a count out because Larson's going camping. So, yeah, have fun with that. And till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.